Well, good morning, District 5960 Rotarians, and welcome to Friday's feature on alternative clubs and formats. I'm Ed Marek, your District Governor-Elect, and with me today is Chris-Ann Manolis, and we'll hear a little bit later from District Governor Paul Perez. Today we want to share some information about club models. Like many of you, I've been hearing bits and pieces about the new club models for the past year or so. But when you're busy with club activities, work, home life, you sort of acknowledge it, plan on getting back to take a closer look at some point, and you move on. Well, this past January, I attended the International Assembly in San Diego. This is a week-long mandatory training for the 535 incoming district governors from around the world. The opening plenary session speaker was Rotary International President-Elect HOLGER'S. He spoke about RI's strategic vision. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Along with the 4 action items to implement that vision, namely increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. Holger then went on to lay out his 4 key messages for Rotary clubs. The first of which is the district will be actively at work creating new innovative club models and will need your support. In addition, you can also help us expand our reach by creating a satellite club and by forming a community-based Rotaract club. So there's a real focus on creating new clubs, as you can see. As you're no doubt aware, we've been trying to increase membership in Rotary for a long time. 1.2 million Rotarians is a number you've heard many times before. In fact, we've been saying it for the last 25 years. So Rotary is trying out a new idea. To attract new members, we'll create new clubs. Younger people are not interested in going to meetings, they're more interested in doing and accomplishing things. People of action. The 535 DGEs were told that Rotary was beginning the first year of 5 to implement Rotary International's strategic plan. And while at the International Assembly, we had a breakout that provided us some great insight on creating new clubs. We were each seated at a table with 9 other DGEs. We were paired off, and each pair was given a different scenario to work on. In the scenarios, we learned there's a group of people who want to form a Rotary club and have a particular area of interest. Our assignment was to select a club model that would fit that club. Then we got to decide when it would meet, how often it would meet, where it would meet, what fundraisers might look like, what projects they would focus on. We also created a vision statement for the club. Then we began developing a website with pictures and a description that would attract people to the club. Then we got to share our ideas with our table mates and listen to what they had done with their scenarios, why they chose the type of club they did, and how it would work within their scenario. It was the best breakout at International Assembly according to a post-event survey. In fact, the 5 of us DGEs that are part of North Central Pets decided to bring it back and included it for our incoming president-elects and president-elect nominees in Rochester when we did NC Pets. Not surprising, it was one of the highlights for their weekend as well. What that breakout allowed us to do was actually sit down and take time to think about the different models and apply them to a given situation. It was great to have that opportunity to dig a little deeper and play with the models. It gave us a space and permission to get creative and imagine what a new Rotary club could be. A comment I heard more than once at both breakouts, both at International Assembly and in Rochester, was, "I want to join that club." We are planning on offering the breakout at our district's conference of clubs, but given the situation with COVID-19, we're not able to. So we're looking ahead to weave it into the One Rotary Summit this fall and perhaps again at midterm in January. So watch for these events and take advantage of this opportunity to learn in depth more about club models. The different types of clubs beyond our traditional Rotary Club include the Satellite Club, which is actually part of a Rotary Club, but it has its own meetings, projects, bylaws, and boards. It takes 8 members in order to form a satellite club. The other club models all require the traditional 20 members in order to charter. And they include the E-Club, which is a Rotary club that meets primarily online, the Passport Club, which is a Rotary club that allows members to attend other Rotary club meetings as long as they attend a specified number of meetings in their own club each year. The Corporate Club, this is in a corporate setting where members or most of them work for the same employer. A cause-based club, a club whose members are passionate about a particular cause and focus their service efforts in that area. An alumni-based club, a club whose members are, or most of them again, are former Rotary or Rotary Foundation program participants. And of course the Rotaract Club, which we're familiar with, a club of members ages 18 and up, used to be 30, but now there's no cap, that's sponsored by a Rotary club and often works with that club on projects. Traditionally, this has been for younger people who want to serve their communities, develop leadership and professional skills, and have fun through service. This one is changing. It's now become an equal partner with Rotary clubs rather than just a program. But enough from me. Let's hear from an actual innovative club's experience in our own district. I'll turn it over to Chrisanne Manalis, who is with the Rotary Club of Cultural Exchange Enthusiasts. Chrisanne?
Just realized I was muted. Thank you, Ed, for that introduction. Paul, thank you for inviting me as well to this meeting. There are some familiar faces in this meeting. Vicki and Fred, we worked together so much on youth exchange for so many years. And I am here to tell you about a club that I recently joined that I thought I'd have zero interest in joining at all. And it's turning out to be so much fun. So let me tell you, I have been attached to Rotary since I was 16 years old when I became a Rotary Youth Exchange student to Brazil. And when I came back, I was involved in ROTEX, which is the group of past Rotary Exchange students. We volunteered on the District Youth Exchange Committee. I eventually became a Rotarian and joined the Edina Rotary Club in 1987, being the first female member in that club. In 2012, I had moved out to Orono and helped start that Rotary Club, and then moved back to downtown Minneapolis and rejoined Edina. Well, last year, I decided to move to Denver. And in my farewells, meeting with friends and saying goodbye, I happened to meet with 2 friends, Greg White and John Hobday, who were also past Rotary Youth Exchange students with me. Greg went in the 60s, I went in the 70s, John went in the 80s. And we got together for drinks just to say goodbye. And John told us that, you know, he had joined the 5960 E-Club a few years ago, and he was now president. And he was talking about how membership had really fallen off, and he just wasn't sure how to infuse enthusiasm, and you know, it was really a burden for him. I mean, I shouldn't call it a burden. He just really took it hard. He really wanted to grow the club. And so after our first round of drinks, we really started to solve his problem. And by the end of the evening, the 3 of us had designed an E-Club with a youth exchange focus. And we weren't sure that John would have any approval to be able to do that. But this is what we thought. We know that there is a captive audience who feel indebted to Rotary. They think that Rotary gave them the gift of a lifetime. And we know, after volunteering with them for many, many years, that they want to stay connected to Rotary, but they don't know how. And this is the group of ROTEX students. And again, ROTEX students are people who were on youth exchange, they came back. And here's the trajectory of ROTEX kids. I'll call them kids. They generally go on exchange when they're 17 or 18 years old. They come back, they either finish high school, they go to college. And during that period of time, if they're still in the Twin Cities, they help the North Star Rotary Youth Exchange Program with our monthly events with exchange students. Well, then when they when they graduate from college, or they feel kind of like around the age of 23, 24, they start to feel old, and they leave us with volunteering, and they just float around, you know, like I'd run into them at art fairs downtown or Loring Park, and, you know, they just always wanted to be connected. And so John and Greg and I really thought, you know what, this might be a great way to grow the 5960 Eat Club and get really dedicated people to be with us. And then for me, because I was leaving the Twin Cities where I've lived for most of my life, I would be able to see people on the screen that I knew that I would miss so badly. So John went back to Marlene, who was really the founder of this club, a charter member, and to the other club members that were still in the club, and proposed this idea. And they said, yeah, let's give it a go, because our membership is falling off. So last November and December, we were having planning meetings, trying to figure out how we were going to rebrand. We wanted to come up with a cool name if we could. And finally in January, late January, we started to have our first meetings. And I got to tell you, they're really fun. I mean, for me, it's a gas, because I get to see people that I know and that I love. Our Rotary, we just got a new name. It took a while for RI to approve our name, but we are called the Rotary Club of Cultural Exchange Enthusiasts. We actually wanted a short name and we couldn't get there because we have to have Rotary Club in the name. And they told us that youth exchange is a branded phrase and we couldn't use it. So we're the Rotary Club of Cultural Exchange Enthusiasts. And we meet every Wednesday, 4:30 Minneapolis time, on Zoom. And, you know, we thought this meeting would be 20 minutes and in and out. And you know what? They go about an hour because we get so chatty. There's always an introductory period and people say hello and we've gotten to know one another and new members get introduced. And then our speakers, so far they've been past exchange students telling us what they've done with their lives after youth exchange and how that international experience has affected their decisions and their choices. And it's been fascinating. It's been really, really fun. So we're now at a stage, you know, we promote our meetings on the Rotex Facebook page, the North Star Rotex Facebook page. And we're definitely getting the younger folks to come check us out. I'd say meeting attendance is between 10 and 26 people. And it's just fun. It is just fun. Now, I don't know, is the, are our pictures up? I'm not seeing the slideshow, but I was gonna show you who we think our captive audience is. You know, with the North Star Youth Exchange Program, generally we send out 60 kids and we bring in 60 kids. And so, you know, we really think these 60 kids in a couple of years are going to want to join a Rotary Club that doesn't cost very much money, that doesn't take very much time in their busy lives. And as they're, you know, as they're working on an income, we just think this is going to be attractive to them. So there's also, and again, I don't see the slides, but I do have one slide. My last slide is an all ages Rotex meeting. And once a year, Rotex from the Twin Cities from 1968 until today, we get together either for a picnic or for a holiday party. And so we know that we've got a captive audience interested in this particular topic of youth exchange and of international topics. And so that is really the focus of our club. The younger people, because we've just started, have not thrown in their hat to say we want to be members yet, but I know there's chatter because I can hear it. Now with COVID-19 is probably not a great time to ask for money. So we're not pushing that, but what we're encouraging is that they come to our meetings and just get to know us. And we hope that in time they will join our club. So does anyone have any questions? I don't hear any.
This is Bonnie Starma. So I wasn't sure if we were asking questions with writing. It looks like some are coming through the chat box if you want to see them, but Also, could you just talk a little bit more about the structure of your meeting? You talked about the beginning where you get together and kind of chat, but kind of what's a typical meeting agenda look like?
Oh, I wish I had it right here. We actually have an agenda that we follow. We do a welcome. We generally, if we have time, because we know how long our speaker is going to take. If we have time, we do a happy bucks, but we don't collect the money. But we kind of go around and people throw in some good news for the week. Then we might have a club announcement or two, but because we're so new, we don't have very many announcements at this point. Then we have our speaker, and we encourage a PowerPoint presentation. And we give the speaker 15 minutes with about 5 or 10 minutes for questions. And then we thank the speaker, and we end with the 4-way test. And then we adjourn. And that's about an hour. Let me look at these other, oh, well, Michael John, we don't have a service project yet. We will eventually. I'm sure it's going to be international in scope. We also want to do something in person where we get together just socially. And I probably won't be there because I'm in Denver, but I think the other ones in the Twin Cities will be getting together. So I think that's going to be a nice cohesive thing to do for us as well. Vicki, to join our club, it's so darn cheap. It's $270 for the year. That covers Zoom costs, you know, dues. We have very little dues for our club to pay for the website. RI dues, you know, get the magazine, whatever else, $270. So people can join if they want a payment plan, and we were thinking the younger ones might want that. It's $25 a month. Yes, Kevin, they are considered Rotarians. And I know younger people would love to have that on their resume. So if they join us and they come to our meetings, they are Rotarians. Anyone else have any questions for me? You know how fun it is to see all of our faces on the screen? We actually have a ball doing this. We do have a website. Oh, what's the name of it? I think it's got the old name. Paul, do you remember it?
I think it's eClub of District 5960. If you go to this is Ed, if you go to the district website, it'll be on the list of club names there, and you can link onto it from there.
Thank you. Kevin, we use, John, who's our president, has Zoom through his company. So it's not the freebie one where it only gives you 40 minutes to be together, and then you have to re-sign on again. Whatever level he has. And we just learned that there's a feature for $40 a month more on Zoom. Oh gosh, no, I shouldn't have even started this conversation. All I know is we could broadcast it like live on Facebook, so we could get even more people to watch us. That looks like it, Vicki. Vicki just included our website link in the chat room. Thank you so much. Oh, Fred, sorry. How about students from other areas to join, Fred? We would love that. We've got Lisa Miller, who went to Germany a few years ago. She now lives in New York. She's been joining our meetings. We want to be growing that. Okay, Vicki, yeah, Vicki and Paul both have posted our website in the chat room. It is RotaryEclub5960.org. Oh, Elizabeth just said, through the pro version of Zoom, provided with RI discount, you can also broadcast live on Facebook. My understanding is that it's less than $15 a month. And you know, I don't know if any of you have Zoom accounts, but this thing is really easy to use. I mean, you may just be a participant today, but this format is super easy to pull up, and you can control microphones and you can control video screens, and it's great. Well, Paul's asking a question to Ed. What was the most unique club you heard of from the exercises that you were involved in, Ed?
Boy, I have to think back here. There was one, actually there was one in Rochester we had that were focused in on water. It was one of the scenarios was about water. And there were two groups that came up with similar sounding names. One was, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what they were now. I can't remember. It was every drop counts and every drop matters. That's what it was. Every drop counts and every drop matters. That was the name of the clubs. And so they're focused on water projects around the world. And it occurred to me that it was really two subsets. So every drop counts would be the accountants, and every drop matters would be the physicists. And so they would kind of spread themselves out that way in joining the clubs. I thought it was funny. Nobody else did. You don't have to laugh either. So
There's an e-club for motorcycle enthusiasts. That actually might be my favorite one after mine.
Ed, can you hear me?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So this is Judy Freund, and I'm glad actually to see that Ruth Peterman, who's our president-elect, is on this call. I am interested in knowing whether the current situation in which lots of clubs are doing Zoom meetings, obviously they're not meeting face-to-face, whether in fact you're finding that there's ideas beginning to percolate on how clubs might be reorganized to actually encompass some of the key ideas in terms of your models. So for example, doing online meeting, maybe once a month, doing a face-to-face meeting once a month, organizing the club into service activities based on interest once a month, doing a fellowship event once a month, and then having, like Chris-Ann talked about, having either face-to-face or online, if there's a fifth month, that's dedicated to a program. It's not that you wouldn't have programs at the other face-to-face or the other Zoom, but if you looked at that fifth. So I'm just curious as whether the district or you, Ed, Paul, Kathy, whether you're getting any kind of sort of percolating up of ideas on how existing Rotary clubs might look at reorganizing their structure to appeal to a broader, wider demographic.
Judy, thanks for that question. And I think it kind of segues nicely into what I was going to move on to next here, is that, as you're pointing out, during this time of sheltering in place, we feel maintaining our Rotary connections is really important, and a lot of clubs are indeed moving to Zoom. As a matter of fact, the Around the District email yesterday is talking about that. It was just sent out in your email. You can also catch it on the district website at Rotary 5960. In addition to what's shared there, we also, on the homepage, if you scroll across the top to resources, is a drop-down menu. And as you drop down to the very bottom, there's a entry labeled COVID-19 in 5960, which has a lot of information on interim virtual meetings, including different platforms, Zoom and GoToWebinar, etc., along with a lot of other ideas to help you get started. And we're finding that a lot of clubs are starting to talk about that. This idea of meeting virtually at least once a month seems to be having a lot of interest, particularly if you've got members that are a little bit older that may have difficulty, there's a health issue or something, they can't get into the regular meeting. They can certainly link up, via email and the internet. Paul, do you have anything to add on that?
I haven't heard anything myself, but I've thought of the idea of every other week live and virtual. I think as clubs really get going on this, these ideas, I'm sure.
Paul, I think we lost you.
Oh, okay. I accidentally hit the button. But as we go on, I think clubs will get these ideas as they go on and start percolating. And I can definitely see some changes in how we meet going forward, even after this. And Elizabeth from Rochester, she put on the chat, and this is for those people who are going to listen to the recording, because this will be on our district website. The Rotary Club of Rochester has been doing a mixed format for several years. Service social first week, midday meeting second, fourth and fifth, and Facebook Live, Zoom on the third week.
And Paul, why don't I turn it over to you, because we're running up against the clock here. We wanted to try and keep it around a half an hour.
Kenny has a question. Kenny Closter has raised his hand.
Yes, thank you much. Judy, the one thing that I've been encouraging clubs to do as I attend their Zoom meetings is when we get back to normal and we start meeting again in person, I want us to maintain the Zoom knowledge that we're all getting right now, because we all have members of our clubs that aren't able to attend for one reason or another. And I would just highly encourage each and every club, if you're doing a Zoom meeting, when we start meeting in person, please continue to do it. If you're not doing a Zoom meeting at this point, please take the next few weeks to learn about it. As Ed stated, go right to the district web page, and there's a nice link on there. So that's my 2 cents worth.
And I can release.
We have 2 more questions. I don't see the raised hands, but if you were one of the participants with a raised hand. Oh, Bruce Moreland. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Our Rotary Club is planning to go to Zoom meetings, and one of the things we did was we created an online Google questionnaire, and we asked people what operating system they were using, whether they plan to come to our Zoom meeting, and whether they would like someone to contact them to help. Then I took the results of that and I identified groupings, and I labeled the people that I put in charge the pathfinders. And I said the pathfinders will reach out to their set of people and practice Zoom with them. I think that a half-hour Zoom practice is all it takes, and we talked through what the important things to teach were. And I did it by operating system, because it's really frustrating when someone on a Windows machine, you can see them pointing at their screen telling the iOS person where to go to do things, and it just doesn't work that way. So anyway, that's what our club did.
Thank you for that, Bruce. That's a smart move. We had one more question, Kathy?
I'm not finding it, so let's go forward.
Okay, Paul, do you want to make your announcements?
Absolutely. We have a special night planned, our next district event, and it's May 1st, which was supposed to be the Conference of Clubs. It's called A Special Night of Connecting, and it'll be a virtual meeting through Zoom, and we'll have 2 of the speakers that we're going to have for the conference, and those are General Secretary and CEO John Huco, and a classmate of mine, the Rotary Geek, Tiffany Irvin. So they'll be speaking through Zoom, and you should be getting an email today from the district regarding the information. It'll be 6:30, and I'm very excited to connect with everyone and kind of celebrate and find ways to get together and continue some of the things we had already planned. So like I said, you'll see that. It'll be out on Facebook as well. It'll be something you just register for and join us. I want to thank everyone for being on the Zoom
Paul,
meeting today. Yes.
Before you do that, why don't you tell them about next week?
I was getting to that, Ed. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I want to thank everyone for being on the District 5960 Friday feature. We'll be doing this every week, and we're looking for different topics. If you have an idea, reach out to the District Governor line or Kathy, and we're just kind of putting this together as we go. We have an exciting one next week. We have former Rotary International Vice President and current trustee Jennifer Jones, who will be joining us. Past District Governor Kyle Haugen set this up, so same time next week. Hope you can join, and I'm sure it'll be inspirational. So thank you again, and nice job, Ed, and thank you, Chris Ann.
And thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Chris Ann.